So the other day I was watching a video about some kind of camera, and I was watching the photographer set everything up. He was going on and on about these really subtle changes made to the camera that really didn't have any true effect on how you used it or what it would do for you. And it suddenly dawned on me that there's a whole body of creatives whose entire life is basically marketing crap to other creatives. And well, to be quite honest with you, it kind of pissed me off. So let's talk about that. I'm not going to name names today, but basically what it came down to was this. There's a photographer, and he's primarily a landscape photographer. And he, frankly, online, he's probably got a far better personality than I do. And he's going on and on about this camera. And the more and more I watched it, I just realized all it really was a sales pitch. And then I thought even more to it, that like, what's worse than being a creative is being a creative who only sells crap to other creatives. I never really got into the whole idea of making art is being a market that someone can sell things to me in. And it seems like a lot of people like that, and it seems like a lot of people are kind of letting that define who they are just a little bit too much. And let's talk about that, because I think that's important to understand. So right off the bat, I like buying stuff. People like buying stuff. It brings a little bit of joy and a little bit of happiness, maybe a little bit of expectation and desire. But the funny thing about desire is after you get what you desire, very often there's a big letdown from it. Think of like all those times, I'm assuming you may be Judeo-Christian, you've been like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for Christmas, and by noon Christmas morning, you're just emptied out and there's nothing for it. Or you've waited and waited and waited and waited to go to like a fancy restaurant or go to this great club or whatever, and you get there and at the end of the day it's really just like all the other clubs and you kind of get let down by it. I think that approach is very much the same thing as buying gear to spark creativity. And it can spark creativity, but it will never make you creative. And there's a real importance to that. Can it spark like, I want to go use my camera more or my tools more or whatever it is? Sure, it can do that. But what it can't do is literally make you come up with something more creative in front of you. So it got me thinking, especially it's the day after Thanksgiving, and I have been inundated, probably just like you have, with nothing but Black Friday, Cyber Monday ads, where everyone just wants us to spend. And I realized that this is not unusual, and this is not a new thing, but it made me think about it in a slightly different way. What if, we as creatives decided not to spend any more money on stuff we really don't need until we really need it, and then we don't even have to buy it? Like, who really needs a $1,500, $4,000, $5,000 camera and lens system when you've got a singular project? You could rent that. You could probably rent that for a few $100s. And then have all that other money left for other things. So why are we buying things, and why are we hell-bent to buy things? And I know there's a bit of our culture involved in it, and I get that. But in our studio practice as being creatives, what I really want us to start thinking about is, what's creative about what I'm doing? How can I make it more interesting? And you know how you do that, honestly? You work on it. You spend time in a notebook or a sketchbook, and you think about plans, and you kind of sit on a sofa and not watch TV or your phone, and you just think about it. You think about, like, what's that thing that I want to do next? What's that thing? What's bugging me about that thing? You ask yourself a million questions. You guys do this already, but what I'm saying is, do more of it. Do more of it and realize that there's people out there who just kind of want to get one over on you one way or another. But the way you win's a funny word these days, is by keeping all your cards to yourself and really kind of figuring out how to become more creative, not buying creativity. The idea of buying creativity is a bad idea. And I don't think anyone really thinks they're successful when they do it. Look, I've done it 1,000 times. Believe me, I am not without fault here. I do it, and I have done it, but I'm trying real hard not to do it anymore. And so let's do that. Let's actually do work and not buy work. Buying work is really just more work for you down the line. You've got to learn a new tool. You've got to figure out how it's going to work in your practice, all that stuff. That's not creative. That's just nuts and bolts. Let's get creative. Let's be more creative. Let's stop spending money. Let's start doing the work. And let's turn the tables on ourselves a little bit. And you know what, in a way, it's kind of like you're giving yourself a Black Friday gift. You're not buying something, you're keeping the $4,000 or the $3,000 or whatever you would have spent. And you're able to use that on, I don't know, more supplies, a bigger studio, travel to some place that you want to draw or paint or take photos of or whatever it is you do. Think of money as an asset and a resource that doesn't have to go to hard goods, but actually goes towards funding your creativity. And maybe that's the best Black Friday gift you can give yourself. Let's be artists. Let's not be consumers. And that's kind of my Black Friday message for you guys today. I appreciate your time. Thanks for everything. And like and subscribe if you can. You know my feelings on this by now. But thank you so much. I'll talk to you next time.